Welcome back to another daily lore. Yeah, another daily lore react. Let me sit up for a moment. Oh, dang it! I forgot to put on do not disturb and not auto rotate. Okay, next video. Let's go.
My husband told me he had a work trip the same weekend as our daughter's recital. I said I understood. What he doesn't know is that I saw him buying flowers at the store across from her school. Tonight, I'll be sitting in the audience when he walks in with a bouquet meant to surprise us both. Growing up, I never had the kind of father who showed up. Sports games, school plays, award ceremonies, his chair was always empty. My mom would make excuses about important meetings or late shifts, but as I got older, the truth became clear: we simply weren't a priority in his life. I promised myself that if I ever had children, their other parent would be someone who showed up, someone reliable who put family first. When I met
I mean, how would you make sure? Like, that doesn't sound like something you can control, actually. I mean, yes, you could probably try to find a good guy that is, like, there for you, but I don't know how well that would be, actually. How well would that actually come out?
James 12 years ago, he seemed like everything I dreamed of in a partner. Thoughtful, kind, and genuinely excited about building a family together. After we married and welcomed our daughter Emma into the world, he was the definition of a hands-on father. He'd wake for midnight feedings, volunteer for diaper duty, and spend hours crawling around on the floor with her while making silly animal noises. The sight of them together would make my heart swell with gratitude that Emma would grow up with the engaged father I never had. As the years passed and our lives got busier, things gradually shifted. James took a promotion that required more travel, and the demands of his job steadily increased. The bedtime stories became less frequent, the weekend outings more hurried. I understood, we needed the financial stability, and his career was important. But sometimes when I'd look at Emma's face as she accepted another explanation for her father's absence, I'd see the shadow of my own childhood disappointment. Last
Yeah,
month,
that makes sense. I understand that. That's just. It's basically the same scenario with different result. Honestly, I mean, it's like it's a repeating occurrence. Even if it's a different situation, it's still a repeating occurrence. Her dad might not have been there because of, some addiction or something. Her dad, this person's dad, the husband's not there because of work. Who knows? It could be it's the same scenario but different ways to get there.
Emma's dance studio announced their spring recital. She'd been taking ballet for 3 years, but this would be her first solo performance. Her excitement was palpable. She practiced every day in our living room, perfecting each movement with determination that surprised me for an 8-year-old. She even made a special calendar counting down the days, covering it with glitter and stickers. When she asked if we could invite her father to watch, my stomach tightened. James had been traveling more than ever lately, often leaving before dawn on Monday and returning late Friday night, exhausted and distracted. Still, I promised Emma I'd make sure he knew how important this was to her. That evening after Emma was asleep, I brought up the recital. James's expression clouded immediately, and before I even finished explaining, he was shaking his head. He had an unavoidable conference in Chicago that exact weekend. The company's biggest client would be there, and his presence was non-negotiable. He looked genuinely regretful, but the decision was already made. I nodded, swallowing my disappointment.
I mean, something happened. I don't know what, but that's just terrible. I mean, I understand. Where did it all go? Like, I wouldn't say wrong, but when did it change? When did you become? I understand raising a family is expensive, obviously, but and I don't know if the mom actually works, so you are basically taking care of all three of you on one salary. So I mean, I don't know if the mom works or anything. So you do have to be understandable. But I mean, come on, like shit. Even if you are understandable, it's just uh there's always gonna be a next deal, but it's kind of like Which do you choose, your family or your career? And the money to provide for your family. But it's also, you have to, if you look at it from other people, if you look at it from your kid's perspective, obviously you are not there. It doesn't matter if you're giving them money. It doesn't matter if you're providing money for whatever they're doing. You're not there. They're going to grow up not knowing who you are, or they know who you are, but not really.
We'd been married long enough for me to recognize when arguing would be futile. The next morning,
Yeah,
I
of
helped
course.
Emma place a star sticker on her calendar and carefully avoided mentioning that her father wouldn't be attending. I'd find the right moment to break that news later. The following week passed in a blur of work deadlines and household responsibilities.
Okay.
Emma continued
Okay. So she does have a job. Okay. But, huh? I don't understand why you need to work so much then. I mean, if you have dual income, they never told us how much they both make. Raising child is expensive, but it's not that expensive, especially only have one. They only have one child, so depending on how much they make, he works at some sort of corporate job, so he's got to be making somewhere around right now, probably around 100, maybe 70 at the least, probably 70 at the most. I don't know. At the most, he's probably making like 150, no, 200, probably at the most. At the least, probably 70. She's making, I don't know. I don't. Her job, I don't think is a full time job, or yeah, it probably is actually. So she's probably making somewhere under that. She's probably making around probably, I would say 45 to probably 65.
missing her routine, her excitement growing with each completed day on her countdown. I still hadn't found the courage to tell her about James's travel plans, selfishly hoping something might change. On Wednesday afternoon, I had to leave work early for Emma's dentist appointment. The office was across town from her school, so I took a different route than usual to pick her up. I was waiting at a red light when I noticed a familiar figure in my peripheral vision. James was exiting a flower shop across from the
Sorry.
elementary school, a colorful bouquet in hand. My breath caught. He was supposed to be in meetings all day. For a moment, my mind went to dark places. Was he meeting someone? But then I shook off the thought. James had never given me any reason to doubt his fidelity. Still, why was he buying flowers in the middle of a workday, and why had he been so quick to say he couldn't attend Emma's recital? The light turned green, and I drove on, confusion swirling in my mind. That evening, James came home at his usual time, mentioned nothing about leaving work early, and said nothing about flowers. He asked about Emma's dance practice and listened attentively as she described her costume, all while I watched him with questions I couldn't bring myself to ask. Over the next few days, I found myself paying closer attention to James's behavior.
It doesn't sound like he would be. It doesn't sound like he's a cheating type. But I mean, is there a cheating type? No, I mean, I don't think so. I mean, there is, but is there? Interesting question. Because he was a loving father in the beginning. He enjoyed. I believe he enjoyed actually being a father in the beginning. So, like I said, I don't know what changed, honestly.
He seemed normal, perhaps even more engaged
I still think he enjoys being a father. He just works too much.
than usual with Emma, asking detailed questions about her recital and showing genuine interest in her answers. But he never mentioned reconsidering his trip to Chicago. The weekend before the recital, I was cleaning our home office when I noticed James's laptop open to his email. I'm not proud of what I did next, but my curiosity overcame my principle.
She is snooped. uh,
I glanced at the screen and saw a confirmation email for a hotel reservation, not in Chicago as he'd claimed, but right here in our city, for the night of Emma's recital. My mind raced through possibilities. Was this some elaborate surprise? Was he planning to attend the recital after all? But why the secrecy, the unnecessary lie about Chicago? I closed the laptop and tried to focus on cleaning.
Mm, I don't know. Honestly, yes, your mind could go to the dark place, of course, the bad place. Or you could try to think of another reason. Maybe he did have to go to wherever he said, Chicago, I think. I'm cracking my fingers. Maybe he had to go to Chicago, but he rescheduled or something. Because you could reschedule. That is a thing you could do. It's not if I mean it might not be that urgent as well. I mean, shit. Who knows? But maybe they rescheduled, and he's gonna surprise them or something. I'm not sure.
But questions kept bubbling up. By the day of the recital, I was a bundle of nerves. I'd helped Emma into her tutu, pinned her hair into a perfect bun, and applied the light makeup allowed by the studio. Her excitement was infectious, but each time she mentioned wishing her father could see her, my stomach twisted with uncertainty. At the venue, I settled into my seat in the third row, program clutched tightly in my hands. Parents around me chatted excitedly, phones and cameras ready to capture their children's performances. 10 minutes before the show was set to begin, I felt my phone vibrate with a text from James, on the way to airport. Tell Emma I'm sorry to miss her big day. Take lots of videos. I stared at the message, more confused than ever. If he was planning a surprise, why continue the charade? But if he truly wasn't coming, what was the hotel reservation for? The lights dimmed, and the recital began. I watched the younger classes perform their group numbers, applauding politely while my mind
Uh,
remained preoccupied. Emma's so
this is the God. I really don't want this to go to a bad place. Come on. Surprise them. I don't know.
solo was scheduled near the end of the first half. As the time drew closer, I found myself constantly glancing toward the entrance. Just as Emma's group was being announced, I noticed movement at the back of the auditorium. A tall figure slipped in, clearly trying not to disrupt the performance. Even in the dim lighting, I recognized my husband immediately. In his hands was a bouquet of flowers that looked identical to those I'd seen him purchasing days earlier. As I watched him search for an empty seat, everything suddenly clicked into place. The mysterious flowers, the hotel reservation in our city, the continued pretense about Chicago, he had been planning to surprise both Emma and me all along. The business trip was real, but he had arranged to return early specifically for Emma's recital, likely.
I knew it. Okay, okay, he didn't reschedule. He just cut it short. Okay. I thought he rearranged it. I don't think he has that kind of power though. But yeah, okay, yeah. Yeah, it makes sense actually if he doesn't have that kind of power. He's just I don't know what he is, but yeah. I knew it. I knew it. I called it.
Planning to drive back to catch his actual meetings the next day. The realization brought tears to my eyes. In that moment, James wasn't just attending a dance recital, he was breaking a generational pattern. He was becoming the father I had always wanted for our daughter, the father I never had myself. When Emma took the stage for her solo, I watched her scan the audience as children often do, looking for familiar faces. The moment she spotted her father, her entire performance transformed. Her movements became more confident, her smile radiant. I glanced at James and saw tears streaming down his face as he watched our daughter dance. After the recital, Emma ran straight to her father, who enveloped her in a hug before presenting her with the flowers I'd seen him buy. The joy on both their faces was worth every moment of confusion and doubt. Later that night, after Emma had fallen asleep still clutching her bouquet, James explained everything. The Chicago conference was real, but he'd rearranged his schedule, taking red-eye flights and booking a local hotel room for a few hours of rest before his early morning departure tomorrow. He'd wanted to surprise us both, to show Emma that nothing was more important than being there for her special moments. In that conversation, I realized something important about marriage and parenthood. Sometimes we project our own wounds onto our partners, expecting them to heal hurts they didn't cause. James wasn't my father, and his occasional absences weren't rejections. He was finding his own way to balance work and family, making sacrifices I hadn't even been aware of. That night changed something fundamental in our relationship. I learned to have more faith in James's commitment to our family, and he learned.
I mean, obviously, just in the beginning, I already knew he actually enjoyed being a father. I mean, I understand like she said, she's projecting her husband to being like her father, which it's something you have to get over. Not get over, but try to get technically get over, but it's not the right word, but whatever. You just have to get over it. Not the right word, but it's fine.
How much his presence meant to both Emma and me. Most importantly, our daughter learned that she was worth rearranging the world for, a lesson I wish someone had taught me at her age.
Yeah, that's true.
That night changed something fundamental in our relationship. I learned to have more faith in James's commitment to our family, and he learned how much his presence meant to both Emma and me. Most importantly, our daughter learned that she was worth rearranging the world for, a lesson I wish someone had taught me at her age.
Hmm. Interesting. A lesson you have taught at your age. I mean, some people need to find a balance between work and family. It's up to whoever is, depending on the person, honestly. Some people enjoy working and they wanted a family, but the idea of a family is the idea of a family, but having a family is different. So maybe they didn't like me having a family, so they work all the time, but they don't say anything because obviously they don't want to bring it up. So, but yeah. My husband told me he had a work trip the same weekend as our daughter's recital. I said and that was Dead Spy's Reddit story react. Have a nice day, a nice night, a nice evening, and a nice morning. I don't know why I said nice. What the fuck? Bye.